Hello and welcome back to Blackcomb Medical and of course Project Hospital. Where we last left off, we got radiology, labs, and our sexual health clinic all up and running. And today's episode is going to be focusing on getting hospitalization at emergency. So that means our trauma center, our observation rooms, all our on-call rooms, everything like that. Now, we currently only have $34,000 in the bank, and we are going to require more than that to build out the emergency center. So I am going to let this game run for one more day as we complete some more objectives. Actually, before we go ahead and do that, we have a room that is critical. And what is that room? Is it really not going to tell us? Oh. We have an administrative department room that is critical. Let's have a look here. It looks like we have overloaded our pharmacy. That is a nice simple fix. We can just go ahead and hire a new pharmacist. And Rachel Martin, you will do. That should solve that problem. But yes, I am going to run this game for one more day. Get a couple more of these objectives done. Probably the treat patients one is the only one that we will get done because the others are currently not available. And we will come back once that is all complete. Alright, so we just finished 3 more objectives all at once. I believe it was correctly treat in resident mode, and then it was reach a doctor rating of 95%, and then reach attending with a created doctor. So we did all of those at once. We did get a $50,000 government grant for that last one. And now we need to correctly diagnose patients of controlled doctors in specialist mode, which means we no longer get any hints. This is going to get a little bit trickier, but honestly, just working in the emergency department, we really shouldn't have any problems. We have a patient here who has either nail fungus, iron deficiency, anemia, or athlete's foot. And when we're looking at this, we can see as we hover over the symptoms what we would find when we examine things. So we have done a physical examination that didn't find any symptoms. We can do a chest auscultation, an interview, thorax percussion. What else do we got? We got blood test, which we can technically, or we might not be able to do that because we don't have hospitalization yet. I'm not 100% sure if we can do that one or not. And then blood test as well. So we are going to run the things that it recommends. If it is iron deficiency anemia, we should see it on the chest auscultation or on a thorax percussion. So we'll go ahead and do those. These are a little bit annoying now because we currently have all the examinations available to us, so finding the ones that you want can be a little bit time consuming, but that sort of just is what it is. Not really much we can do about that for the moment. Alright, so that chest auscultation and thorax percussion didn't find anything, so we can probably rule out iron deficiency anemia. Ideally here I would like to run a blood test. But before we do that, we might see if we can potentially do a evaluation or, considering all the symptoms, yeah, an evaluation and potentially a differential diagnosis just to save us having to do that blood test. Because I'm actually not even sure if it is available to us at this point. Oh, it is. We can do a blood test, but we're going to do the evaluation and differential diagnosis first, just because they are quicker. This guy that's not going to have to go and do a blood test for that, and hopefully that can nail it down. And of course it didn't. So it is between a nail fungus and athlete's foot, like we assumed that it would be. And the only thing that we can do to actually determine which one it is fungal cultivation. Now, the problem with that is we need an observation room to be able to do that. I believe. Let me just have a quick look through here and double check, but I believe that is the case. We are looking for microbial sampling, I believe. And yeah, they have to be hospitalized for that. Can I get around that by sending you to the sexual health clinic, putting you in regular hospitalization, and then doing the microbial sampling. I believe this is the same thing. Fungal cultivation has proven something infection localized to the soles of the feet. Yeah, I believe this is fungal cultivation. So we can do it, but we require a microbiology lab, which we do not currently have. I think it's worth doing though. Let's give it a go. I just want to see if we can actually diagnose this in sexual health and send it back. That's the main reason I'm going for this, but yeah, if we can, let's give it a go. So this is going to be a medical laboratory, and this will be the microbiology lab. How big do we want this? Do we just want this the exact same size? I think we probably do. So 12 by 6 is what it is going to be. That might cut down my room that I've got for the trauma center, but I think it will be fine. We should have more than enough room. So that is going to land there. Go ahead and build out the foundations for that. I'll go ahead and build the walls, build everything else. It's probably going to look very similar to the histology lab. Is that a histology lab? Hematology lab. But we'll come back once that is all built up. Alright, so that is our microbiology lab all built up and ready to go. The last thing we need to do, of course, is go ahead and hire ourselves a tech for that. Christopher Wilson seems like a perfect candidate, unless, Paul King doesn't have any advanced biochemistry. If we go ahead and toggle that on, we might get ourselves a better candidate though. Paul Brown with 12%. No, I think I prefer this one, honestly. Christopher Wilson with 25%. He has clean feet. He's an alcoholic, but that is absolutely fine by us. And last thing to do is go ahead and extend out that corridor, and that should be good to go. So if we jump back into doctor mode here, and was it? No, it was not you. Who was our patient? Here we are. Charles Wilson. We can now send you for mycologic. You guys can tell me how to pronounce that in the comments down below. But we can now send him for that and see what is actually wrong with him. So that is good. And we have some more patients to send home, but we're going to jump back into the time lapse until we get his test results back, and we'll make sure that that actually did work. All right, so I just guessed wrong on Jennifer Martinez. I sent her off for... Oh, I didn't scroll down. That's my bad. Luckily, we were only at 7, so if you get a diagnosis wrong, this counter will reset back to 0, and it is very picky about that. So I was looking at this, I saw contact dermatitis, and there's a pretty surefire way to tell whether or not it is. We did a skin allergy test. It didn't rule out contact dermatitis, but in my brain it did, so I said, okay, you probably have athlete's foot. But if we go ahead and scroll down here, you can see that it is probably for the sexual health department. So we're going to send her on over there to be treated. Go ahead and start them out with a temperature measurement and see how that goes. But yeah, that is my bad. Be very vigilant, especially when you are getting higher up in these numbers over here, to make sure that you are 100% certain of a diagnosis before you give it. Okay. Patient can't be hospitalized. Hospitalization on emergency is not functional or missing, or make it work quickly. The patient is getting ready to leave. You're currently assigned to the sexual health department because I thought that's where we could get the fungal cultivation to happen. Both of these, well, actually, no, they're both antifungal ointment. I don't know if there's anything we can do about that. We don't have hospitalization set up for the emergency department just yet. We could go ahead and just guess, but I'm going to leave it and see if he actually leaves, because it looks like his fungal cultivation test did go through. It also looks like he is currently hospitalized and he's eating. So hopefully he doesn't leave, and hopefully we can actually treat him in the sexual health department as soon as we actually diagnose him. But we'll have to see how that goes. Like I said, I was just curious if we could use the hospitalization we had in this clinic to treat an emergency patient, but I guess we'll see. And apparently they could not be treated, so they are being transported to another hospital. That's fair enough. That makes perfect sense. If you're hospitalized in a sexual health department when you're coming in with either a nail fungus or athlete's foot, I would probably leave too. That is absolutely fair enough. We have another quite interesting case here. I have done a whole bunch of tests on this person. They got triage, we did an interview, temperature measurement, physical examination, oral and nasal cavity inspections, chest auscultation, speech listening, x-ray chest, and thorax percussion, which are all the symptoms of all of the symptoms for influenza B, viral tonsillitis, sinusitis, and bronchitis. The only other thing this person could possibly have is syphilis. So we are going to go ahead and do... Is this revealed with a groin examination? Yes. So we're going to do a groin examination as a last resort and see if we can figure out what is wrong with that lady. And we still have no idea. We still have absolutely no clue. So I'm going to send her to the sexual health department and get them to start doing some tests. We'll do a differential diagnosis to start with and see how that goes. I'm just going to pause here as well. We're still currently in the middle of the day. It's currently about 3:30 in the afternoon. I just want to quickly go over management mode here and see how we're doing on testing. So looks like labs are handling everything just fine. We have one currently queued up for the hematology lab, one person in the waiting room. For emergency, we only have the one person waiting, which is absolutely fantastic. For radiology, currently no one is waiting. Sexual health has 14 patients in the waiting room, which is definitely more than we want to have. So we also have 3 tests lined up in the labs. I definitely think we need more lab techs more than anything else, because I imagine most of these people are waiting for testing to come back rather than anything else to come back. So in saying that, I'm going to go ahead and hire just a full array of techs for during the day, and we could potentially even think about opening this clinic up at nighttime just to get through all of these patients, because right now I don't think we're going to be able to, and I really don't want to lose out on that money. So Frank Brown, welcome to the team. And do we open this up tonight, or do we just see how that goes? I think I'll give this an hour, see if these numbers improve, and if they don't, we'll potentially open this up to nighttime as well. Alright, we'll pause there. It has been about an hour, and it looks like that definitely helped. Our numbers are down to 7 and 3, so I think that definitely did the trick a little bit. We could potentially add more doctors into this department, but I don't think it's actually going to be 100% necessary. If we were, I would probably just add one more in here, but you can see the workload during the day is actually only medium. Same for the labs, which is really weird because this is clearly backed up in some regard. So I don't know if it's giving me the wrong numbers there, but yeah, I'm really not sure. We're gonna keep an eye on it and see how it goes. Alright, so this is actually a win. This says the clinic has closed for patients. There were still 4 patients waiting. We had the exact same thing yesterday at the end of the last episode, but today we had 20% more patients than we normally would. So with that being said, and the extra 2 lab techs in here, I think we are actually now equipped to handle the load that the sexual health clinic is putting on our hospital. We have $119,000 in the bank. I don't quite feel comfortable yet building out the trauma center, because I would also like to build the ICU at the same time. So I'm going to do a super quick time lapse of the next day. We aren't going to pause at all. We're just going to get through it. I can't imagine anything particularly interesting is going to happen. If it does, I will pause, obviously, and we will go from there. Before we do that though, let's have a look at our budget. We made a cool 80 grand on patients today, which is absolutely fantastic. I think definitely one more day and we will have more than enough money to build out the trauma center of our dreams. Just briefly before we get too far into that time lapse, I did just fire 4 of our doctors. There is one major reason that I did that. We may need to hire them back in future. But our current goals are to treat people with the doctors that we control. We don't control these doctors and we don't control these doctors. We also don't control any of our sexual health doctors. So having less doctors overall, I think we'll still be able to handle the amount of patients that we have. If not, we can hire some towards the end of the day. But we should still be able to treat them in a timely manner. And it'll mean that our controlled doctors get to see more patients than we would otherwise if we were spreading the load a little bit more evenly. So that is the reason that I did that. And now we'll jump in to the full time lapse. All right, this should be our last diagnosis of scabies, and that is officially that objective complete. Go ahead and give them insecticide cream as well as some steroid cream, and there it is. Correctly diagnosed patients of controlled doctors in specialist mode. 50 out of 50. $50,000 government grant. That unlocks our next objectives, which is to treat patients of controlled doctors in specialist mode 60 times. So it just keeps on going, keeps on giving, but we are almost done with those tasks and everything is about to speed up a great deal. I'm going to pause the game here because I would like to do the exact same thing we did yesterday and make sure that we are doing okay in our waiting rooms. We currently have 4 waiting in our emergency department. How is our sexual health department going? A little bit better than the other day, but still not fantastic. I think we could definitely benefit from having 1 more doctor in here, so I am going to do that very, very quickly. And the way that I'm going to do that is just by simply copying this over to there, and then going ahead and building out our foundation for the corridor, grabbing our wall tool, deleting that wall, getting this wall in, and I shouldn't have deleted that wall yet because I'm going to rebuild it there and get rid of it again from there. And then we simply add in our exterior wall like so. And that should be good to go as soon as we put in a floor for down here and rezone this area to be part of our sexual health department with a corridor that can now go all the way across there. That should be good to go. And we hire 1 more doctor for our sexual health department. I can't imagine we're going to need more than 4 doctors. I mean, the fact that we need 4 in the first place is honestly a little bit baffling to me. But it is what it is, I suppose. We'll go ahead and hire Patricia Adams. She is definitely the best candidate for the job, and that should hopefully help out there. I really don't think we need anyone else working in this lab. You know what I think they do need, though? I think they need some bamboo plants. So we'll throw down some of them. That'll definitely speed up their workflow, right? I think so. But we have $193,000 in the bank. So I think with that, it's probably the perfect time to enable hospitalization at emergency. So we're going to jump into planning mode, grab our planning, and I'm going to plan this out real quick. I think we're probably going to have our trauma center right about there. That is the general plan. 1 smaller though. Trauma center right about there. We need 6 beds in here because we have 6 ambulances. That is how I like to do things. And then I'm going to put in the on-call rooms and nurses' rooms and probably a staff break room down here. And then this up here is going to be my observation area. So that is the general plan. We'll be back once I've got that all laid out, and I'll see you in a little bit. All right, this is a little bit more convoluted than I wanted it to be, but I think this will work. Our trauma center itself is going to be 17 by 16. Our on-call rooms are both 9 by 8 with a 3-wide hallway in between. We have a common room that is 9 by 7, bathroom that is 6 by 9, and then all of our observation rooms are going to be 5 by 4. And I'm going to try and build these as individual rooms rather than having a giant ward. I think that'll just generally make our patients a little bit more happy. It will get rid of the trait that is the rough night trait, and I think that will generally help out. How big is this? This is 5 by 1. We could potentially... this is 4, this is 3. I think we can maybe change this up a little bit. If we remove that corridor, which removes all of my masks. That's good. Can I undo that? No. All right, that's fine. We could potentially actually go for 5 by 5 there, 5 by 4 there, 5 by 4 there. That's... well, we can probably just make this cleaning room a little bit smaller. If we did that, that lines up a little bit nicer. These guys can have a nice view to the outside. These guys don't, but you know, it is what it is. We have a nice little cleaning closet in here. It doesn't need to be big. We already have a cleaning closet down here for our emergency department, but obviously we have quite a large emergency department, so that is what it is. And then this back in here will still be corridor for something else. Actually, that can probably be corridor for emergency department at this point, just because we do have these beds here. And these on-call rooms are a little bit far away from some of these observation rooms, but I don't think that's going to be a big deal. Typically, we don't have that many people in observation, but I wanted the extra room just in case we needed it, especially when we get to things like events and such. So that is going to help out. It also gives us a nice little hallway to get to our labs. So these can definitely serve both hospitalized patients and clinic patients. And I think that will be fine. We might still have to build another little radiology department up here somewhere in terms of getting these people serviced with radiology. But with that all being said, we are going to go ahead and build this out, and I'll be back in a little bit. All right, so I know it looks super bare bones, but this is actually all we need for the trauma center itself. Obviously, we do need some doors. That would definitely help. I kind of want to put the metal sliding doors in here, but I made this hallway 3 wide, and I am regretting it. We could potentially... actually, yeah, let's just do it. Let's just do it, because otherwise it's going to annoy me. I'm just going to shrink down this nurse's station. The doctor's station, because we are going to need more nurses than doctors. So we'll go ahead and do that and remove this wall here. And obviously we need to repaint the floor as well, but that's simple enough to do. Throw that in like that, and we'll grab our non-colored one there and do something like that. And throw in our double sliding door as well for there, because, you know, stretchers and things are going to have to come through here. Speaking of, we should potentially put some stretchers in our trauma center, because that would be a good idea, as well as, you know, put this wall back, because that is definitely necessary. Thank you. All right, so yeah, this is actually all we need for the trauma center right now. As we get more ambulances, we will go ahead and build more of these bays. You can see we have 6 of these bays for right now. This area over here is probably going to be designated to things like stretchers and wheelchairs and things of that nature. If I can find them, there are the wheelchairs. You can throw a couple of wheelchairs. Let's go for 4 for right now across that wall there. And find ourselves our stretchers. We'll go for the black ones because I think they look cooler. And we'll go 4 stretchers in there as well, just to fill out that room a little bit. We obviously aren't finished with the building yet, but I just wanted to pause there and let you know why we aren't completely filling out this room. I may do the exact same thing with some of our observation rooms and not actually build them just yet, depending on how we're looking in terms of our money. But we're going to continue on with the time lapse as we build out the rest of these rooms. And that, in theory, should be everything we need to run hospitalization in emergency. We have our trauma center down here with the 1 operating table in it for the moment. I'm actually not 100% sure if this screen is in the right place. I'm going to throw it there for now and see if it works. I hope it does. And our nurses room looks something like this. We have enough room for 8 nurses, which we will probably end up filling up, to be honest. They have a nice couch, little lounging setup here as well, which is always nice to have. It's pretty much the same thing for the doctor's office. And then we have our break room down here, toilet over here, and our individual observation wards in here. Currently we have 6 set up and a little cleaning closet back here. I'm hoping that all works nicely. For right now, we don't need to staff this entire thing. We will need another cleaner, I'm sure. So we'll grab Dana Scott for that, and we'll go ahead and hire a night cleaner as well, because hospitals run overnight. That's kind of the whole point. So we're going to go ahead and hire some nurses first. Given that we only have the 1 bed for right now, I'm thinking we can probably get away with having a nurse for patient transfers, a nurse for patient care in the observation ward, and a nurse for stabilization. So anyone who's going to be dealing with the observation ward is going to be on these back tables here. So this is going to be observation. For that, we're going to want a clinical nurse specialist, just so that she can help to determine, she or he, I should say, can help to determine patient symptoms as they are caring for them. And again, this is going to be pretty expensive, but honestly not too bad. Christopher Allen is going to be our first patient care nurse. So we're going to disable patient transfers and trauma stabilization on them. And we're going to need 2 of them. We're going to need 1 for the nighttime as well. Robert Walker looks like a fantastic candidate. Again, that is only on patient care. And then we're going to want at least 1 nurse for patient transfers. Like I said before, these people can be a lot worse than your others because they really are just moving people around. I'd like to see what Kate Allen's other stats are. They're not great. I think she'll probably do. She is a little bit more expensive than I wanted. Honestly, Susan Foster is only 178. No, let's reroll. Let's reroll and see. Susan Hill is a perfect patient transfer nurse. You are officially in. And we'll go ahead and hire 1 more for night. And it looks like Jane Martin might be it. Yep, that is 100% it. You will be on patient transfers. And then we need 2 more nurses for stabilization. And I don't know if medical surgery helps with this at all, but Susan Garcia is a fantastic candidate. So we are just going to go ahead and take her and see what else we can find. We have another medical surgery nurse. Again, I don't actually know if this counts for helping with stabilization, but I would imagine if anything was going to, it would be that. So I'm going to lean on that and just go for it. See if that works. See if they help out at all. So that is going to be the nurses for the moment. I hope that's enough. It might not be. We'll have to see. And then in terms of doctors, we are going to have one doctor that is an anesthesiologist, because apparently they help out when a patient is collapsing. They give a little bit of a boost to that. So we're going to see who is available here. And it looks like Lisa Jones might be a fantastic candidate for night. So we'll go ahead and hire her there. Lisa Jones has Night Owl, so she'll work more efficiently during the night. She has Spartan, so where all her needs are reduced much slower. She's a good boss, so she'll probably be the boss of this department. And she has Practical Diagnosis, so welcome in. And I actually forgot to set the Chief Doctor for Emergency in the first place, so good thing I noticed that. And she is going to be only working in the Trauma Center for the moment. And we'll go ahead and get someone else for the daytime. Honestly, all of these guys look pretty decent. I want to see this guy's stats. Yeah, Jordan Thomas, 456 a day. Anesthesiology is going to be our doctor during the day. And you are going to be on the Trauma Center only. And then we'll go ahead and hire one doctor with probably advanced diagnosis to handle our patients themselves. If we can find someone halfway decent. Looks like Lisa Hall is a fantastic candidate. And for nighttime, we will go for potentially you at the bottom there. Yep, Paul Jones, you are hired. So you guys are diagnostics and observation. You will work in these rooms and everyone else will work down in the trauma center. That should, in theory, be good to rock and roll, I believe. I believe. We might have to open up night times here and over here at some point very, very soon. But for the moment, we're going to rock and roll with that. Our next job is to enable hospitalization at the ICU, and we need to save a patient after one collapse. So we can't actually unlock ambulances until we build that ICU unit. And where it's going to go is have, if I'm being honest, because honestly, I think I would like the ICU to be upstairs. And right now, that is not really an option. We currently only have in the bank. So we're going to let this run for a little bit as we build up a little bit of money. Make sure everything down here is working correctly, and then we will go from there. All right, so our sexual health clinic is doing a little bit better. We only had 2 people waiting today, and I think it's still jamming up in these techs. As soon as we unlock the overnight for down here, I think that issue will go away by itself. So for right now, I'm not going to worry about it. But yeah, I think that should be okay. We did manage to get 77 out of 82 patients done today. Only 2 got sent home, so that's a win in my book. But the next step is going to be building the ICU, and we might have to go ahead and actually build a little temporary ICU until we can move it upstairs, because I'm not quite ready to move upstairs yet. I would like to fill out the rest of this space, at least with empty rooms, and then we can go ahead and move upstairs and start working on our bigger wards for our bigger departments with an ICU, dedicated surgery area, and all of that jazz. But let's have a look at how we are doing money-wise, considering we opened a trauma center that is basically sitting there doing nothing for right now because we don't have any ambulances. We still managed to make $66,000 on the day, which is about in line with everything else. Of course, we haven't paid our hospitalization staff just yet. So yeah, that might take a little bit of that money out, but I think we will be okay. This 300% payout thing is doing well for me so far, and I'm really enjoying the rate at which I can expand this hospital out. I'm going to leave it here for now. We'll come back next episode and probably end up filling out this entire bottom floor, as well as building our first ICU, even though it might be a temporary ICU. I hope you guys don't mind that we do that. If you are enjoying the series, make sure to leave a like down below, leave a comment for the sake of engagement. Let me know what you would do, where you would put your ICU. And make sure you've subscribed if you haven't already. Consider becoming a member as well. Links are in the description. But until next time, happy building, happy doctoring. Bye, guys.